my name's Logan. I'm here today at the e-bike hub, and we're checking out Lectric's newest all-terrain e-mountain bike. This is their Lectric XPeak. So this bike has really awesome features. We're really excited to check this one out. It's actually got an ISO 42 10-10 certified fork. So it's got the through axle, meets a bunch of extra safety standards that you don't see a lot of bikes, really any bikes in this class and this, price point of e-bike that has those safety standards. So the fact that they could put a $400 fork on this bike is super, super awesome and goes a long way in safety. They've done a couple other things that we're excited to check out. Their new motor boasts 400% quieter power. So while it's still delivering over 1,300 watts of peak power at a 750 watt motor, we're really, really excited to see how much quieter this is. They've also, instead of going the torque sensor route like a lot of bikes in this price range have gone, they developed a new power assistance wattage technology that allows them to still use a really minimal and cheap design cadence sensor that delivers power a lot more smoothly and more like a torque sensor, that it's controlling the wattage rather than just going off of speed as their previous models had done. We're also seeing a thumb throttle for the first time on this bike. That's the first time that we've seen that from Lectric, rather than just their half twist that they've done on a lot of similar bikes. So having the thumb throttle will be nice when you're using that trail setting. We're also seeing a really short, beefy stem that you see on a lot of really high-end mountain bikes. We've got hydraulic disc brakes, so just 2-piston hydraulic mineral oil disc brakes. We've also got Shimano Tourney 1x7 drivetrain in the back here. We've got 26x4-inch tires, rear rack that supports up to 60 pounds. So we're pretty excited to see it. We've also got the battery in here, and the battery has a 2-stage dropout. So after you turn this, even if this was to somehow kind of come undone, that's not going to allow the battery to come out of the frame. You actually have to get down here, and there's a button that'll allow it to drop out. So you'll have to actually drop it with the key and then push that to allow it to come out. There's going to be a button on here that allows you to turn the battery on, make sure that that's working before you put it back in here, lock that in, and now that's nice and secure. And that's integrated into the frame really, really nice, so it just looks really smooth. We've got a 3x little tabs here for installing accessories and water bottles and stuff like that. So we've actually got 2 on the step through option. This also comes available in a high step, which is going to have another bar right here. I don't know if that one also features, this 3-pack as well. But a lot of really exciting features, and we're super excited to test it out.
So tell me about what level you were in for this first small ascent.
I was in level 3 on this one, and it was pretty quiet. I did go into the smaller, or the biggest gear, the easiest to pedal gear here, to go up it, and I was definitely feeling that resistance and having to pedal a little bit, but I went up that whole first bit with the rocks in level 3, and then for the second half of the climb switched to PAS level 4, but stayed in that same gear and was able to pedal up to here. And the motor was super quiet. I was very impressed with how quiet the motor was.
Nice. In a second, we're going to loop back around and do that same hill, and we're also riding a Rad Rover 6 Plus, which I actually was in level 5 pedal assist and could definitely hear the motor, and it actually took quite a bit of effort just to get up this. So we'll see how the two compare when we do it again. Oh my God. Woo. That got the heart pumping.
Hate you, Ryan. Convincing me to do this stuff. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Let's see what the approach looks like. I just want to know that I'm not going to clip the bottom bracket on this. Man, it's not looking good. Ooh, that sounded good. Oh man. Oh man, oh man. Yep. Alright. Turning this up and around all the time. Not very sustainable. Oh my God. Adrenaline is pumping. Whew. Fork feels really good. Feels like it would on a hardtail mountain bike that I would ride. Woo! Oh, that looks really muddy. I'm going a little bit of throttle here. Woo! Oh, that's slicker than butter on a biscuit. Really thankful for these fenders right now. All right, that was pretty good.
Okay, so we just switched out bikes. I originally rode up this Ascent on the Rad Rover 6 Plus, and Logan was on the XPeak, and we just switched on our way back around, and he rode up on the XPeak. He originally rode up on the XPeak in just a level 3 and really had no problem on that Ascent, whereas I was in level 5 on the Rad Rover 6 Plus, and I was having to kind of stand up and pedal hard. And when I switched over to the XPeak, I did have to go up to the level 5, but I didn't have to stand up. I stayed seated. I didn't even change the seat position, so you can see how low my seat was. So I didn't have like very efficient pedaling for my 6'2" frame, and this thing really climbed much more efficiently. What did you think? Did you hear a difference in the motor or anything, Logan?
The motor was definitely louder on the Rad Rover. That's like not even a, like before we even hit the Ascent, that motor is just louder. And then as we came into it, you can definitely hear as it's ramping up in power and output, as it does get much louder. I think that it seems like the peak on this allows it to climb a little bit more freely, and it just feels a little bit more efficient. I was in 5 to get up that hill when I was in 3 on this one on the PAS settings. So it definitely made a big difference, you know, being on this one, and it was more quiet for the whole ascent as well.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that there was such a huge difference between the two bikes because they're very similar in components. You know, they're both 750 watt motors. So this newer motor that Lectric is using is actually pretty dang impressive. Any other comments?
Nope. They're both a lot of fun to ride. Torture tested and gonna do some more.
And to be fair, we're taking both these bikes in situations that they're really not intended for, just to kind of torture test them and put them through a ringer. You know, the trail that we're currently on is perfect, honestly, for what both of these bikes really want to offer, which is a nice, like, easy, like, almost Jeep road. But then when we went off onto that other trail, that's where we're really taking them beyond their limits. But we're still quite impressed with what they were able to do under the conditions, muddy, slippery.
Absolutely.
All right, Logan, now that we're back in the shop, what did you think about the test ride that we did with the new Lectric XPeak?
I was really excited overall for the value. I think that this is an excellent e-mountain bike. Obviously, it's a lower price point e-mountain bike, so it doesn't have 100% of the features that, you know, we're looking at in a high-end mountain bike, but for being able to take this out for, you know, $1,300, it was really, really surprising in a lot of ways, and I really liked it. I think that it was a really awesome bike, and it was super fun to ride around.
Yeah, I agree. We took it on some, you know, a short run, but we took it down some terrain that really it's not made for or intended for. But we wanted to really torture test it and see what sort of ringer we could put it through. For the trail that we went on, how would you describe its performance?
I think that overall, I mean, I would normally be riding a trail like that on a full suspension mountain bike. The trail that we took it and test rode it on is actually rated as the Black Diamond Trail. It's kind of a tech trail, obviously lots of rocks, lots of ruts, and kind of like wall rides and stuff like that. And then especially riding it in the mud and the muck, the big thing that I noticed was like just the tires are just a faster rolling, lower resistance tire. So definitely not intended for riding, you know, muddy, mucky snow lines, you know, but despite that, you know, it was still performing really well, and we were able to ride it over the whole trail. Didn't have to skip anything, and it was a lot of fun. The brakes held up really well. They were super responsive. The suspension fork did really well. Having the really big tires doesn't make up for not having, you know, a full suspension design, but it did make it very comfortable. And especially when we were just riding down, you know, double track and just the fire road kind of style ride, it was super, super comfortable and not uncomfortable in any way. It was super smooth.
100%. And one of the big things that they've been touting from Lectric is this new motor, and that it was, I think they say something like 400 times quieter than another motor, which right away I was like, okay, you know, we'll see. But out in the wild, I was very impressed when we compared it to other bikes that we have in the same sort of category. It's definitely the quietest motor that I've heard.
Yeah. And on top of it being really quiet, I mean, you definitely didn't lose, you know, any power. It was still very powerful. You know, putting it into a similar assistance level as another bike that we were testing it next to, it kind of blew it out of the water. I think that the peak wattage is definitely different and is more optimized on this. Also, with their new pedaling technology, their pedal assist technology, I think it's the PRW system. it was super, super smooth and just instantaneous that, you know, even over a torque sensor like we're seeing in a lot of bikes that are, you know, this price range and spec'd out kind of the same. They're usually using torque sensors, and I thought that their new system was much more responsive and less clunky than the other bike that we rode that did have a torque sensor on it.
Right, and I agree. What was interesting is that we thought for sure that was going to be one of the factors that we could tell that there was a quality difference between that bike that had the torque sensor and this one being a cadence sensor. And we actually felt like this one was a smoother uptake of that pedal assistance at every single level in compared to that. And once again, as it performed in that video against the other bike that we were riding, it was very impressive how much better this did in each pedal assistance level over the other bike. So so impressed with what you're getting at this price point. Can't say enough like nice things.
Yeah. Overall, super, super stoked on this. I think that this is an awesome offering from Lectric. They're always coming in and really breaking barriers by providing something that is honestly a really, really great product for too cheap. You know, it's just such a great value for what you get out of so much of their stuff. It's really, really hard to complain, but we can try. And there were a couple things that we did notice. You know, we found that the reach was a little bit short on the medium. I'm definitely a size medium bike most of the time, and I felt that the reach was a little bit short. I also noticed that coming around, when my foot was on the platform here and I'm turning the wheel, my foot was hitting if I was taking too sharp of a turn. So that was something that, you know, probably would be solved. I think that there's a longer reach on the size large, but that was just one of the things that, you know, I did notice when I was trying to ride on the trails.
Again, and that's us like trying really hard to not find a way to disparage the bike, but really it's just working in the shop and being able to compare these apples to apples at this low price point. It's just very hard to beat all in. So even the other bikes that may have some better componentry on their brakes and maybe different areas of the bike, but then you compare that you have something like this, you know, RST Renegade fork, which just is far and above anyone else's bike in this category, or how quiet and high performing the output of this motor really is. Those things just really, you know, set this bike apart, and I'm excited to see how Lectric continues to innovate and bring such value at that price point.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was super, super surprised just over and over again that, you know, this is a bike that's $1,300. I mean, it seems ridiculous that they can provide so much value and have a $400 fork and make the quieter motor, and you're really not sacrificing anything, you know, over, you know, another bike. Like going from the XP 3.0 at, you know, $999 to this, I mean, it's a very night and day difference. This is a really well performing bike. I love that it has the through axle, makes me feel a lot more confident taking it and, you know, riding it off of small jumps, bumps, you know, riding roots and rocks and ruts, all of that. So super, super stoked with the value that they were able to put into such a great price point bike. And I think that overall this is a huge win for Lectric.
Yeah, I'm really happy that they actually went with just a full rigid frame for this, you know, off-road mountain bike, because I have seen folding full suspension 26 by 4-inch tire bikes, which to me, I thought maybe because they already had the XP 3.0, their kind of lineage is having that kind of fold-up bike, that maybe they would try to do that same frame type in this category, and they didn't. And I'm so happy they didn't, because this is, you know, a legit off-roading bike. Again, we wouldn't really agree that it's made to do true mountain biking, and it's not made to do the mountain biking we just did on it. However, it is definitely great for going on Jeep roads, going off of pavement onto something gravelly, rocky, or rough at all. So,
and occasionally riding over, you know, some bigger rocks and stuff is definitely not going to hurt it. I think that we definitely proved to ourselves that it is a very capable bike. That's just not what it's meant to do all the time. So I think that overall they totally nailed, you know, the demographic and what people want to be using this bike for, I think it's perfect for.
I'm excited for doing a lot more. So we did a simple small video. We had a short window of time within the weather here in the like Reno Tahoe area where the trail was somewhat dry, and so we got in a short ride to test it out, but we want to do some longer videos of like torture testing and really like putting it through some more ringers to see how capable it is and to continue to hopefully surprise ourselves of what
Absolutely.
you can do on this bike.
Yeah, this bike is, you know, definitely not torture tested yet. We are going to dedicate it towards, you know, trying to make this, you know, see the longevity of this, see how it holds up over time, and we're going to put it through the ringer.
And so we want you guys to follow us on that journey because we also, at some point in time, are going to make a big announcement of a way that maybe you can win one of these bikes.